So, all right, in introduction, I'm Jeff Patton. We led a discussion about Kanban. The discussion was, well, what is Kanban, which we did a rough job covering, and then why is it such a divisive thing? So I'll start by, my biggest takeaway was, and the biggest realization for me is being forced to explain Kanban and talk about what the trouble is that Kanban is a practice, it's a technique, it's an overlay, it's not a process in and of itself. I would add Kanban to an existing process the way I would add test-driven development to an existing process. And the discussions of what's better, Kanban or Scrum, replay those in your head as what's better, test-driven development or Scrum. They don't make, they're sort of false discussions. So we talked about a lot of questions, and I'm not sure we got answers to. Is Kanban a methodology? And it was the result of lots of thrashing there that we came up to. No, it's just some simple techniques for visualizing flow, setting some limits to that flow, and starting to measure cycle time. And I guess maybe the biggest controversial one is potentially stopping iterations as planning boundaries, the idea that planning is continuous. How does commitment manifest itself? Topics came up about, it looks like it causes individual ownership, it looks like it might cause sort of handoff behavior. I'm working on my stuff and then I will hand off to you and we'll do that. I hear a lot of concern about that, and I'm not, the jury's out on whether that's true or not. Are we rebranding common knowledge, and why are Kanban owners such zealots about it? We talked about it being partly positioned as an alternative to Scrum. But even the folks who are positioning as an alternative to Scrum will say, I can take Kanban and overlay it on whatever I'm currently doing. Anyway, it's a weird thing. But I think we talked about it being a little bit of a, it's trying to move the discussion. Some folks are trying to move the discussion away from Scrum or away from other things to Kanban. Don't know why that is, but it seems to stir up a lot of us and them sort of thinking. We didn't talk about does size matter or coexistence of Scrum and Kanban much, and we did talk about the idea that it's a better fit for support. One of the benefits of Kanban is because you're not planning 2 weeks in advance, you can pull what you need as you need it. You can be a lot more responsive, pull what's next and reprioritize and start what's necessary when you've got capacity. We didn't talk about difference between whip limits and velocity, and how do you know when we're done in Kanban. How do you know when you're done in Kanban drove out interesting discussion of it's not Kanban that determines that, it's your existing process that determines that. If you know when you're done in your existing process, you'll still know when you're done in Kanban. Okay, that's a recap of everything we took notes on, and it was a darn mess.